Okay, we're doing all of this because we actually live in a frequency-based universe. Now, this is bioacoustically speaking, of course, and we have found that there is harmonic math, music inside your body. And Brian Butterworth wrote a book about we are hardwired for math. And even little kids understand, newborns. Discovery Channel did a whole movie on this about how children's brains are hardwired for math. Our DNA is based on math. So I decided to look at that. And when we started looking at the frequencies of water plus the frequency of oxygen, it equaled water's what we call Q, which means that's what energizes it. And it equaled estrogen and potassium cell salts, which is needed for us to go on as a human race. Nitrogen plus hydrogens, bioacoustic sound, equaled nitric oxide, which is responsible for cell respiration, cell hormones, and oxytocin that starts the birthing process and the bonding process. There's more. Once I hit this again, there'll be another side come up here. Even simpler things. The frequency of water plus the frequency of nitrogen equals oxygen. Can you begin to see, you've watched CSI where they put this little drop of something in this little centrifuge and it comes up on a spectrograph and, oh, that's fertilizer or that's whatever. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, here's these sounds, and these sounds mixing and bombarding each other like waveforms coming together. I think that's what started to create our physical domain. And when you look at this in bioacoustic terms, you can see how it created us from a very simple perspective of just giving us oxygen to water minus nitrogen equals sulfur, water minus oxygen equals hydrogen, carbon dioxide, then chromium for blood sugar, then the adenosine triphosphate that I was just talking to Cassie about, because that's the first chemical that's activated after conception. So many things going on. When you have two ears, about 4 to 6 inches apart, depending on how big your head is, so you actually hear things twice. You hear things because your ear is always an nth away from the other. Mm-hmm. And just like when you're first born, you see two things. You see double vision, and your brain starts to bring that together. Same thing with your ears. The first thing it does is subtract the two sounds and give you that sound. Then it averages those two sounds and it gives you that sound. So actually it's 4 things happening together, 2 primaries and then 2 other secondary notes. And I think the same kind of thing happened here as these sounds, these frequencies begin to come together. And sound is just a frequency range. 14 cycles up to 20,000 cycles per second is how we hear. That mechanical energy hits your ear changes it into electrical chemical energy that's sent to the brain on your neural network that's all over your body. You have about 144,000 miles of nerve fibers. And if we took everything away from you except those new nerve fibers, we could still identify you as Beth. They're that prominent. So on each one of these nerve pathways runs a frequency, and that all runs back to the brain, and everything happens there. So the ear takes in frequency that we call sound and sends it to the brain, and the brain says, it's in that range. I'm going to interpret that as auditory input. Touch is that way, smell is that way, emotions are that way. It's an octave. So we found a way to tap into those frequencies of your body and remanage them. But it's amazing to watch these numbers move together and to look at your health in terms of math. So we thought we'd share some of this. This is some of the things that you learn in class.
Yeah, but I've never been good at math. So.
Isn't this a neat concept, though?
It is.
That the frequency comes together. And one of the things that I think is going on, well, 2 things are going on. I think the public is ready. We've talked about this movie, The Secret, before, that it tells us that we can have anything we want. A new extended edition of The Secret, I'm reading this for the people just listening, in this groundbreaking feature-length movie presentation reveals the great secret of the universe. It's been passed throughout the ages, traveling through centuries to reach you. This is the secret to everything, the secret to ultimate joy, health, money, relationships, love, youth, everything you ever wanted. And it teaches you that it's your intention, that you program yourself by your own thoughts, your own frequencies. You program yourself by your words. We have this words in, out your mouth, in your ear. That's the only dual system we have. You don't send out light and bring back light, but you make sounds and you bring in sounds, so you program yourself. But one of the things that The Secret left out and made a lot of people very angry, because you read some of the reviews and it says, they have all these people up there that made it, and they never tell you how to really get there. They never tell you how to really go inside and know the correct thing for you. And that's what we think we can provide by looking at the nano voice. Because if Ben decides that he wants Cassie's house, and Cassie wants Cassie's house, who gets it? Is it whose intention is stronger? Well, one of them probably really doesn't want it. There's a better alternative. And if you take a vocal print, we could see whose vocal print is the most balanced by possession of that house. And that's what this can offer. It's going to start creating community, like minds, that each of us can touch that part of ourselves and become more authentic. And I think as a human race, that's what a lot of us want. So The Secret leads us to something else. All of this started from a very esoteric perspective. I could hear sounds coming out of people's ears. I was working in a speech and hearing department. And Dr. Fusey, the head of the department, said, "Sherry, don't say that. People think you're weird enough, and there's nothing in your ear to make a sound." About 2 years later, Johns Hopkins University proved that there is a sound coming out of your ear, and it's called an OTO, acoustic emission. And they are now using that for diagnostic purposes. But that sound coming out of your ear is most of the time one, rarely two sounds. And we didn't run the studies, independent organization ran the studies. And when we take your vocal print, we look at 100,000 frequencies. A computer chooses 24 of that 100,000 to say, that's important. And when we did that and did the correlation with the otoacoustic emission, 100% of the time, that one sound coming out of your ear was one of those 24 sounds. So, even though otoacoustic emissions are being used now by Yale and Medlars and all of these really prestigious medical communities, we are 24 times as effective. But this is not a big, money-bundled, prestigious university. We are struggling here to get things together and to hold things together and to do this on our own and to hold this for the people. And by the way, for the person who donated the money for us to give scholarships away for people for some of our next classes, thank you from the bottom of my toes. That was wonderful. I put this in here because we are going to do the drawing. And remember, those of you who want to be part of that drawing, just send us emails. And what we did was take all of your emails that you sent us, and we put your name on a little strip of paper, and we put it in this pot, and we're going to draw them next week. We put all the people's names in here. There's about 50 names in there of people who have contacted us already.
And there's still time.
Yes, there's
You
still
have a
time.
whole week, so you can email us. We'll pop your name in there. Next week you can watch the show.
Okay, we'll pull it next Thursday. And it's for a set of sono cards that gives you the note of C and all the muscles associated with it. It's amino acids, it's enzymes, so that you can begin to connect some of this when you do your nano voice.